morning. Good morning. It's nice seeing you all. Wow, by the skin of my teeth. I almost missed 8 o'clock by a couple of seconds. But hey, we were there. So good stuff. Good morning. Good morning. I trust that you are all doing well this morning and that you are ready for another episode of Virtual Coffee. And that, what we're going to be talking about today is not going to be too long. So I want to get right down to the point and really focus on, what are the things that's going to help you make stand out. And it's a lot easier than you may think. The hair is not working with me today. I don't know. It's getting out of hand. But yeah, Monday we are on level 3 officially. And I think things are going to change quite dramatically, because of that. So, I don't know. You must let me know what's going to happen. Are you obviously rushing out and seeing clients, going back to the office? What is happening in your life? Let me know whether it's on here or whether you are sending me a WhatsApp to let me know. I'll appreciate that. I think this week that's coming up is going to be the last week that I'll be going live daily. And then from the week after that, so what is that then? I think from where are we? The first, so from the 8th, Monday the 8th, from there on we'll go live twice a week. So it'll be Tuesdays and Fridays is the suggestion at the moment. And on Tuesdays we'll have an early show and on Fridays a late show. So I don't know, that's sort of the thinking at the moment. I'm keen to hear what you're thinking and what your thoughts are. So please, get in touch, let me know. And I'll probably send out a short little survey or a little poll rather that will help me decide on that. And I've got some fantastic guests lined up, for next week as well. On Friday, I have a phenomenal guest, Lisa Gering, who's going to be on I hope I'm saying her surname correctly, but she's going to be on the show, and she climbs mountains for some fun and relaxation, but serious stuff, like Mount Everest. So I'm going to talk to her. Really excited to have Lisa with us on Friday. So don't miss Friday. So this week is going to be normal. So Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. in the morning, all the shows next week. So please make sure to join me for that. On Wednesday, I've got guests again. We're going to be talking about demystifying discretionary fund management. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then a couple of other stuff happening on the day. Or during the week, rather. So, that is sort of that story of mine. I want to remind you about the business assurance. Not the business assurance, Genade. You missed the business assurance refresher. That was last month. So, the estate planning refresher is happening on the 9th. I've really had, I think we're almost on 20 registrations now. So, thank you very, very much. I don't want you to do this unless you can, in fact, do it. So, please, if you can go to www.francois.co.za/online refresher and you can book there. It's only 350 Rand, but the value you're getting is going to be like 3,500 Rand, I can promise you that. And it's something that you can definitely go and use, in your practice when you get going. So, come and join me. There's CPD involved as well. So, obviously, and there's also this sort of a little bit of confusion going on at the moment about CPD because tomorrow is the FBI's cutoff. They did not extend their deadline for CPD, but the FSCA, so for phase purposes and fit and proper purposes, they have extended the deadline until the end of August to have your 18 points, if that's what you need. And then the next year will be prorated. So I think you need 13 points in the new cycle, but that cycle will be shorter. So it will be from the 1st of September until the end of May as it stands at the moment. But the FBI, 31 May. So tomorrow is the day. So make sure that you are there and that you are compliant so that you can keep that CFP certification. All right. So good morning, Quibus. Nice to have you back with us this morning. Good morning, Casper and Raymond. Welcome, you guys. Thank you very much to both of you. Terence, hello, back from a 5K run and have my coffee. Let's do this. I love it. Well done, Terence. And Terence wrote a monster exam yesterday, 5 hours, I see. Jeez, man. And then you go and run today and you have, energy to make coffee. Well done to you. Francis, good morning. Was lekker om gister so vinnig bietjie met jou te gesels. I did send that stuff back. I didn't hear anything back, but I did do that stuff and send it back to you. Malcolm, good morning. Cindy, good morning. We've got Rezan, good morning. Denise, good morning. Pieter Strydom, good morning Pieter. Dis jou tweede dag dink ek, né? Lekker Saterdag. Arun, good morning. Johan Vosloo, good morning Johan. I look very much forward to our conversation on Monday. I can't wait. So really excited for that. Alan, nice to have you back. Nice. Welcome. Lofi and Khatsiandi. And I think that should be possibly, I think, it's Vimlesh, I think. But I can't, on my side, as you can see, it says you're a LinkedIn user. So good stuff. Tinus Brits, good morning. Nice to have you. So Kobus says, I will come out of my self-inflicted hard lockdown of 66 days. But no, it's a habit, Kobus. You can't stop. It's a habit now. Without leaving my premises once on Monday. As Tanya said, it takes 66 days. There you go. Powerful habits. I've embedded so much. Yeah, it's amazing, and it's great stuff. Good on you. And Shlanganani, good morning, Sunny Bonani. I hope you're going to enjoy today's session, guys. I'm really excited to sort of get into that. I just realized that I did not print my copy of what I want to talk about. So let's just see if I could do that. If not, it's fine. So good stuff. It seems like we are not there. So I will do it like this. Great. Alrighty. So let me go over here and say, what are we going to say? Alrighty, so obviously I want to talk about the five things that will that you can do, and it really isn't like this weird and wonderful stuff. It is certain things that have almost, I don't think it's fallen out of fashion, but what I do think is that nobody's doing them anymore. So when nobody's doing something, to stand out is so easy. And I've actually been preaching this for, what is it now, 12 years, I think, some of these things. And, it's just, it is, I don't want to say common sense, because if it was, a lot of people would be doing it. But we tend to focus on things that are easier for us. And then we don't think about the client or the customer or the other person that we are dealing with. And that is sort of, I think, where we miss the, the opportunity. I don't want to say the plot, but definitely we are missing the opportunity there. Alrighty, so let me get into this, and I'm going to type this in as we go along to sort of share that with you. And the very first one is that we need to focus on the person and not the money. So let me put that on there for you, and not the money. There we go. Alrighty, so that is the very, very first principle that I want to talk about. And this for me is, and I'm going to talk mostly about this one, because you know what, often we focus on the money, and the money is like sometimes our money, the lack of money, financial pressures that we are under. And other times it's also that the client has a lot of money that they can invest. So it's still about us, but it is also about their money. So we get to focus so much on the money and the policy and the investment and that kind of stuff that, we sort of forget the person that we are actually working with. So if you really want to stand out, focus on the person and not on the money. And we've spoken about this quite a few times, and it's one of the principles in Dale Carnegie's book, where he talks about you need to be interested in the other person and don't try to be interesting. And the difference there, I will highlight that again, is that if you are trying to be interesting, then it's all about me. It's all about you. It's not about the person that you are trying to connect with. But as soon as we are, and it's like natural, because it is about us. You care about yourself very much. It's like the sound of your name is the most sweetest sound in the world, is what Dale said. Sounds like I know him. I don't. So, but that's the thing. So it's the same. So it's so hard. So if you are the person that can focus on the other person first, and you make it all about them, so you are genuinely, because it's also one thing to say, so what do you do for a living, for example? Very simple question that most South Africans default to is like, so what do you do for a living? And then, do you really then listen, and do you really, really engage, and do you really find sort of where there are connection points? So that is extremely important, that we focus on those things. So when you are interested, then you are genuinely interested. And you take time, you listen. Being interested is a lot about listening and asking questions. It is not really about the back end. So I think that is a very important thing. And then one thing that maybe, I don't know, some people are very good at this. Other people are really struggling with this. For other people, it comes with a lot of energy, and that is to engage with real, true empathy. So if you can engage with empathy, then that is just like, wow, this person genuinely cares. So I mean, combine those two with one another, being genuinely interested and then engaging with empathy. And empathy means that, there's sympathy and there's empathy. And empathy is more like, sympathy for me, it's more like you're sorry for the person. I feel sorry, but you don't, I'm sorry. But empathy means that you feel with the person, so that you put yourself in their shoes, you put yourself, just in their situation. You have a deep understanding for maybe one of two reasons. Maybe you've gone through a similar thing yourself, and I found this. My wife had cancer when she was only 32. So now when I hear about somebody who has cancer, there's a different level of empathy, because I've sat next to her when she got her chemo. I went with her to the hospital. I did all that stuff with her, and I saw what it did to her and sort of the struggles that she went through. And you have a deeper understanding, and you have real empathy in that sense. Versus, for me, I think one of the hardest things is when somebody passes away. I've been very fortunate that I haven't had anyone in my closest family, probably my mom and dad, my brother, my in-laws, anybody there that has passed away. And so we haven't had to deal with that yet, So I know it's going to happen at some point. It has to happen at some point in time. But now, if when you tell somebody, I'm sorry to hear about your loss, yes, you mean it, but you don't feel what they're feeling because you've never been through that. So to really engage with true empathy it's really hard. So on the one hand, it's because you've gone through certain experiences that are similar, or maybe somebody that are very close to you that went through something similar, and you have a better understanding. So we should really seek to understand, before we really say that we are dealing with empathy, or we operate from a place of true empathy. So it's all about knowing the client or the person intimately. And that's why I say, my number one thing here is to focus on the person and not the money. And this has come out in so many things that we discussed during this time that we were in lockdown in the show. But also, people that I've interviewed for my podcast, and sort of I also want to clarify that maybe at this point and not break my stride here, but the podcast is the audio version. It's Propulsion. This is a show which is a live show that's video based. So yes, we are going to use some of the stuff for the podcast, but they are actually two different things. And then I think the big thing, if we know somebody intimately, we act with empathy, we seek to understand them deeply, and we are genuinely interested and we genuinely care for the person that we are working with, then we will automatically be treating them with respect. But that's the very least that we can do, is to treat others with respect from that point of view. And it's easy to say, but Francois, I always do. Do we really treat everybody with respect, from our staff to our spouses to our children to our clients? So it goes throughout our lives. Do we treat other people with respect? So I think that is a very important aspect there. And then number two, sort of, I think, leans into this. And that is to stick to your word, and that is also something that I think is it's something that we say easily and that, but it's not always that easy, and things do go wrong. And you know what? Especially if you try and guess timelines, I'll get back to you by that time. It becomes hard. So for me, the easiest way to stick to your word, apart from just sticking to your word, I mean, it can't be that hard, but is to underpromise and overdeliver. And you all have heard this, and every time we hear it, it goes like, yeah. And I've also seen this. You tell people it's going to take a week, but it's going to take 2 days. But then you don't wait until the last 2 days to do it. You do it immediately, and you get back to them. I mean, just how wild they are. And you do that from time to time, then you really amaze people, and they really think, wow, what amazing service, and what an amazing person, and what an amazing business this is. Another thing with this is, if you say you're going to call, then call. I've messed up with this numerous times, like more than I should be able to count, I guess. But, when you say you're going to call, just call. It's simple. So that's part of sticking to your word. And the easiest way to remember that is to put it into your diary. And I've started doing that, because I say, I'm going to call you tomorrow. And then it's not like I don't care. It's just like I forget because I didn't put it into my diary. And I know it seems like duh, you should be doing that. But for someone like me, no, duh, it's not like I don't operate that much from a diary always. So I've got the important, all my meetings are in the diary and those things. But things like phone calls or to-dos or, errands or anything like that, anything that goes around meetings or that, it's not in my diary. There's no space in my diary for preparation. There's no, or no booking. There is space, but there's no booking in my diary. I just know in my head that I need to do this. And that is sort of a problem for me. So that's something that I'm working on. But definitely from that point of view, if you want to stick to your word, just put it in your diary so that you don't forget. And then what do you do if you can't stick to your word? So you said that, listen, I'm going to call you at 10. And just something happens, Or like back in the day when I was a consultant, I would tell people, listen, your commission will pay tomorrow. And then tomorrow morning I get into the office, it didn't pay. Okay, and I got confirmation from the head of that department that it was done. The button was pushed. And then you get there and just something didn't run last night. And, or the policy issued late and they said it was going to be included and now it's not included. And now you work with the banks. That was quite a story. If that had to pay out to somebody who only receives their commission once a month and not weekly or daily like an independent, that was a big, big issue. But the easiest thing in the world is to pick up the phone and say, listen, I'm sorry, it didn't happen. Or if you know you're not going to make the deadline, just pick up the phone. That's one of my next points. But pick up the phone and say, listen, I know I said this, I'm not going to do this. And even if the person on the other end flips out a little bit, they will appreciate the fact that you phoned and that you told them, listen, I'm not going to make this. This is not going to work out, but I will do it by then. Or this is a new thing. Or you know what, I can't do this at all. So that is important. And then again, I see some of these things just lead on to one another. And my third one is to give continuous feedback because, and we've spoken about this on this show before, because this has a direct impact on the perception of your service. And also something that I've added to this, it's not only about the perception of the service that you're giving, it's also about the perception of how much I can trust you. Trust is something that's come up in a few conversations and is specifically in Brian Parsley's episode. So go check that one out. We really got into all of this and, what are the 4 important things that are needed for somebody to trust you? And I know it's always the thing about, do they do business with people they like or they trust? And I mean, we said like, they first need to like you before they can trust you. And, it's not, it is true, but it's also not always true. If you've built enough of a credibility and people know that you know what you do, but you have a little bit of an abrasive personality. They don't like you, but they can trust you from other sources and then still do business with you. But, to give continuous feedback has various benefits to it. And when I say continuous, like let's say, for instance, you're busy with something for someone, whether it is you're busy with their planning or whether you said you're going to find out some stuff and get back to them, or whether they maybe applying for an investment or a product or something like that, or you're sorting out a query, specifically queries and things that are really problematic in nature, is if you can give continuous feedback as far as that is concerned, that's going to make a massive difference because people are just like, they're busy with my stuff all the time. I mean, just think about it when you never hear it from someone and then one day, 2 weeks later, you go like, it's sorted. And then the person is saying like, but why are you not excited? And in your opinion, it's like, gee whiz, but it took 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks to sort out. And that is not really what your expectation was, because maybe the expectation was set to a week. Maybe there was no expectation set at all. And that is where that comes in. And for me, it's just about, anyway, the more contact you have, okay, so the more contact you have with your client, and I'm not saying you need to personally have contact with them, your staff can have contact with them, but the more contact you have, it just shows that you care more. Okay, because I'm talking to you. That's what a relationship is. It's talking to one another. And then it means that there is just a better relationship because of that. So it just works on your, there is no negatives. There are no negatives, nothing, if you continuously give feedback to client or staff or whatever. I mean, just think about this lockdown that we're in now. How upset did everybody get when we didn't hear from the president for 2 weeks? It's like, what's going on? Huh? I mean, that should be a clear indication of how important we don't know what's going on. It is the worst thing. It is much worse than not knowing what's going on than receiving the bad news. Because at least with the bad news, yes, you can get upset, but at least you know what's going on. And you know what to expect. And that's what we really do. So I didn't put expectations on here, but that is definitely managing expectations is one of the things that one should definitely look at. And it also helps you and your staff, your office, to stay focused on the problem. Because you don't want to be going back to the client all the time saying, oh, I still don't have an answer. I still don't have an answer. It gets like it becomes a problem for you at some stage. And then like this, you push harder, because often you would and I'm going to get to this in the next one, but you would send it off to a company and they're not coming back to you. So now you're also not going back to your client. So you're getting frustrated with the service provider. Your client is getting frustrated with you, and you could have stopped that by giving continuous feedback to the client, keeping them in the loop, saying, listen, I still haven't heard from them. We are following up. I just want to let you know it's not just lying there. And then at some stage, you're going to get insistent, and you're going to get but I want my answer now. And you're not going to take the company's excuses and things anymore, and things will get done quicker, because all of the things that I say, if you do this, imagine if service providers were to do this as well, what difference that would actually make. So my next one, and this is really a huge one for me, and it's something that I did for a very long time, and then and I'm going to put it like this. This is sort of the big one for me, where as I said, I did this, and so many people do it, and it's a disease in my opinion, and that this is sort of that what I want to say is stop emailing. Okay. Stop emailing. It's not to say that you should, but that's how I submit. Yes, I'm not talking about that. But when I phone you and say, listen, I want to know what's going on. And then you go I don't know what happened. Yeah, I'm going to find out for you. So what do? We send an email, because it needs to be in writing, right? Right? Yeah. Okay. But now it's oh, my job's done. I sent the email. No, that's where the problem comes in, because now you follow up. What do? You send another email. And then 3 days, 4 days, a week later, you send another email. And but I've done my job. Yeah, I've sent 3 emails. I never got a response from them, but I sent 3 emails. So I did my job. So that's what I mean with just please stop emailing, because it just simply doesn't cut it. So what should you rather do? Just pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. I mean, think about I've had this so many times, wishing people a happy birthday. Okay. Yes, I don't have the capacity to phone every single person, although if I really wanted to, I could. Okay, but there are certain people that I phone on their birthday, and you know what their response is? Oh, I can't believe that you phoned. Not because it's me, but it's just because nobody else is taking the time to phone. No, what do? We email happy birthday, we WhatsApp, we send cute videos, we do all this stuff, which is cool. So do that. Keep doing that. But also pick up the phone and phone them and speak to them personally. Don't send voice notes. That's not appropriate for birthdays or anniversaries or, a new kid that's born or anything like that. And the same with sorting out problems, Send the email, but then pick up the phone and phone them and say, listen, this is my issue. Please, can you get this sorted? And explain to them. Because it's important. It is important. People need to hear your voice. Brian spoke about this in the episode the other day, the cadence of your voice. I think he asked me I did not beat my dog with whatever. And then he had sort of different emphasis on different words as he repeated the sentence. And every time that same sentence had a different meaning. And that is sort of what happens. I don't know. I mean, I can take my wife, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say this now. We would get the same email from a client, for example, in the tax business. And then she may read it in one way, and I read it in completely another way. And then she says, but what's going on here? And I'm huh? I didn't read it. Or there's a WhatsApp that comes through. And then the way I read it and the way she reads it is completely different. And it's just obviously your level of your relationship with the person sending the message, that you need to know them well, but that's the problem. We don't know people as well as we think we do. And then, sorry, this is just funny to me. And then, we don't take the time so that they can hear in our voice, I'm speaking softly, or I'm speaking slowly. I'm not upset. It's not you need to do this now. And it's maybe I just said please can you sort this out for me quickly, because this is really a problem for me. But if you read that same sentence in an email, it's going to be come on, you got to sort this out. I'm not happy, blah, 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 blah. And you make your own assumptions based on that. And not only that, when you do that, when you receive an email from a client, they do exactly the same thing when we're sending emails to them. So stop sending emails only, and also pick up the phone and call them. Okay, so that they can hear, at least. They can't see you, but at least they can hear. And if you want, do a video call, even better, because they can see the tears in your eyes and how sorry you are, and that you're really taking this serious. Then you're going to sort it out, but that's up to you. And then a big one for me, and this is something that I lived by, and one day I was at a braai, and there was some consultants from other companies, and this proves that you can't type and talk at the same time. But yeah, so this person came up to me and said, "Wow, I hear you such a so I was very successful at the company where I was. I was top 10 in South Africa as a consultant." And he came to me, and I mean, that was like 2-3 years after I did that. I went into management, and he came to me at the braai, was a newish guy at another company, and he said to me, like, "I hear you so successful. What is it that you do?" And I just thought this was my response. And the way that I responded to this, it's stuck in my mind ever since, because I think this summarizes what the key is for any business. Doesn't matter even what you're in. I mean, the 5 things that we're speaking about today can apply to any business. Okay, so let me just finish this. Sorry, this is not the most professional thing in the world, but there you go. So this is it. It's not what you do. It is not what you do. It is what you are willing to do. And obviously within a framework, within the rules, within ethical boundaries, it's not what you do. It is what you are willing to do that will set you apart from anybody else. When you go that extra mile, there's nobody on that road, because everybody stops at the finish line. Nobody goes an extra mile. Nobody goes out of their way. Nobody's giving continuous feedback. And if you can pull this back to everything that we spoke about, it's not what you do. If I'm willing to make it all about the person and not about the money, I will stand out. If I'm willing to stick to my word, it's going to make a difference. If I am willing and I do give continuous feedback, it will make me stand out. And if I'm willing to say farewell to email and also pick up the phone and speak to people, it's going to set me apart. And that was always the thing. And I mean, there's loads of examples that I can give you of what I did, for people. It's just a simple thing. And I'm going to give you maybe the most recent one that happened yesterday. So yesterday, when I had that short session after the live show, I forgot to hit record. And everybody was asking for a recording afterwards. And I said, sorry, I didn't record it. But without them asking, I went like, oh, but here's the slides with all the notes. So all the things that I usually say as part of it. And it's weird because I never have notes with my slides. But there's all the notes, use that and send that on to them. And here's a copy of the thing that we discussed as well in the show. So there, distribute that to everybody that was there. And I feel like that is sort of, I'm willing to do that because it's still my content. It's not that I just want to distribute it out there always, unless I'm the one doing it, but I feel like that is an example from my side. When you had, again, that commission example where the commission didn't pay, there was a few things that I was willing to do for people. The other big thing that I did as a consultant, for example, was I did financial plans with my brokers or with my advisors, whether we called them brokers back then. So they would, for 5 of them, so they would get information from the client. So basically doing paraplanning. I would do all the analysis and then give it back. No other consultant was doing that. No one. That was back in 2006 and 2007. And it made a fundamental difference to those people's lives. So I was willing to do that, even though that is not part of my job description. But I knew it was valuable. And if it's going to help them do better and more business, because that was a 2-prong approach for me. I want them to give better advice and to do better business. And then as a result of that, hopefully some of that comes to me. And it did, but I was willing to do that. Where other people say, no, my job is this, it's not that. So that's the thing. We need to think a little bit further than just that. All right. So let me see here quickly. There we go. Good morning, Franz. Preach, brother. I hate email. There you go, Franz. Good morning. Terence says, written communication often causes miscommunication. Yes. Arun picking up the phone and wishing them well on their birthday has a totally heartwarming impact and more personal. Likewise, on some other matters, the personal phone call makes all the difference. Yes, and especially when things go wrong. It's easy to pick up the phone when things are going well, and it's a nice reason why you're phoning them, but other times not. So yeah, Kevin says, I call this episode Back to the Basics. Thank you for the powerful reminders. Yes, you can't win the game unless you do the basics well. Arno Burger, in his episode on propulsion, was episode 7. I asked him, so what is it that makes you successful? What is the thing that makes Phidias stand out from the rest? And he sat back in his chair and he looked at me and he said to me, Francois, it's because we do the basics, but we do the basics extremely well. I don't need to add anything to that. I'll say, Raymond, yes, it's quite cool, huh? What's this side? It fits, all the red and everything fits together. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think it is an awesome poster. I appreciate that. Alrighty, guys, so thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here. Please remember to go and sign up for the estate planning refresher. Let me see you there and help you, be at your best when we're ready to go again. I really appreciate you. Have a fantastic weekend. I will see you back on Monday morning. Cheers.